Hi there, welcome back to Save with Crypto. My name is Save with Crypto. Just before I go any further, just look at this thing here. Apparently there's some sort of fire in Dubai, and I couldn't believe this guy here, this John Patavina. He says, does this mean, I guess he's from Somerset, does this mean Iran is attacking both Israel and Saudi Arabia? I mean, surely the most idiotic of social posters can just, look at Google Maps and actually work out what country Dubai is in. Although quite often I know a lot of people do think Dubai is an actual country. Anyway, I mean, he did say here, did you know Brazil is almost the same size and the continental USA? Okay, that sentence doesn't make sense. I assume what he means, did you know Brazil is almost the same size as the continental USA? That's actually correct. Actually, the USA is about 500,000 square miles bigger than Brazil, so maybe it's not completely stupid. Oh, actually, yeah, June 13th. I'm going to go with 69% of X's bot engagement because Elon Musk cannot help himself. Okay, so he knows about X engagement, and he just seemed to post a lot. He's verified as well. Maybe I should do that. Should teaching cursive in school be mandatory again? I don't know, mate. You can't even use a keyboard. So, yeah, probably. Yeah, he's probably going to get a load more followers now because of me talking about him, isn't he? Well, if you do that, make sure you're following me as well on X. It's called Save with Crypto. All right, I'll see you over there. I'll tell you what, if I can get this followers up to 2,000, I will get verified. How's that? And I'll make a video about it. Anyway, as it's Sunday morning, I thought I'd just do something a little bit different to just show you how I customise my TradingView. You can customise it however you like, but I just thought I'd show you just for the fun of it. And also because I kind of realised that there's a few things that I do that I could have done better. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So when you get your TradingView account, whether it be a free one or if it's a premium one. And by the way, if you haven't got TradingView already, do use my link, savewithcrypto.org/TV, because if you do upgrade to one of the paid packages and you buy an annual plan, you get $15 off. If you don't use my link, you don't get $15 off. So, it makes sense to use it. I don't think I get $15, but I think I get some sort of points that I can use towards upgrading plans and stuff like that. Anyway, so when you come to TradingView, I think you have some sort of home screen like this, but it's the super charts that we all use, isn't it? And I think by default it looks something like this. I personally don't like the white background, so I choose to use the dark mode, which is dark theme there. Okay. I don't like red candles. I think they're a bit negative. I suppose they are negative, but I just don't like seeing red much on the charts. So I like to get rid of those. I also don't like the grid background either. So you can do that by right clicking on the chart and going to settings. And there's a few things I do here. I like to change that red to more of a kind of, purple. I usually do that for the borders and the wicks. And the green, I like that to be more of a, kind of like a lime green type thing. And I do actually like the bodies of the candles to be a little bit hollow, so I'll make them less opaque like that. You can do whatever you like, but that's how I like it. On the actual canvas, I like a solid black background. I just go for the full black because by default it's a very, very dark grey, but I like black. Grid lines, I don't want to see them. Now the watermark's interesting because when you look at that, if I was to zoom in on a video, you might not be able to see this appear. So I think it's good to actually show the watermark of the ticker that you're looking at. So I just usually put ticker there. Okay, so you can see BTC USD.P, which is what it says up there. Now, the time zone, I do set that to wherever I am. And at the moment, I'm in the UK, so it's UTC +1. Obviously, you can set that how you wish. In the trading menu, I don't use this, so I don't need to see these buy and sell buttons up there, so I can get rid of those. In fact, I don't need any of this really. Alerts I leave just like that. Events I leave like that. These chart values up here I never look at. Open market status, I'll never look at that either. Bar change values I don't look at. Now this here, indicators, titles and inputs, I'll show you that one in a moment, because if say we were to put an indicator on, so let's go for the CT moving average crossover indicator by the caretaker, and let me just reset that to how it is normally. And you see, what you see here is all this big long line of stuff here. Okay, now I don't need to see that. So back on the status line settings, you can set that globally by getting rid of inputs, values, and saying OK. And then that means up here you've got a very, very easy way to see the indicators you've got without seeing a big long line of like rubbish there. So that is pretty much how I set up my charts. Now at the moment the actual price line is the same colour as the candles. You might think that's a little bit dark. If so, in scales and lines you can actually just set that to white, which is what I like. If you want to save that as a template, you can go save as and then give it a name. So that's how I like my charts to look, and I think this is okay. But you know, this might be because I'm a YouTuber and I want, you know, a very plain looking chart, and I want the watermark to be visible so you can see what asset I'm talking about. Your needs might be different, so just set it up as you want. Now then, I reckon I can do most of my trading using two indicators. The first one is the CT MAC that you've already seen. So you'll find this by looking for CT moving average crossover indicator. It's by the caretaker. It currently has 1.2 thousand likes. And by default, it looks something like this. Now, I do like to change this quite a lot. There is a video linked at the end of this video that shows you how I do it, but I'm just going to do it again very quickly. And if you want to see this in more detail, look at the video at the end. But essentially what I do, I go to the settings and I turn off all of these. I'm not actually using the crossover pairs at the moment either, so I'll just turn those off to avoid confusion. And I don't need to see the info panel. I don't need to see any of that. And I don't need to see the input values either. What I do want to see is for EMAs, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to change them all to EMA. And I set these colours to red, cyan, yellow, and green. Okay, and then the magic numbers are 5 for the red one, 9 for the cyan, 21 for the yellow, and 55 for the green. Now, I was talking to the coder Math, who's helping me with my indicator called the quad rotation stochastic. I was talking to him yesterday, and he also likes to use a 200 simple moving average as well. So I'm going to add that as well. This is something I don't normally do, but I think this might be quite useful in developing some further strategies. So I'm going to set that to 200 SMA. I'm going to make that white. Okay. So that's how I have it set up. Now, the other indicator I like to use is a oscillator that goes down here. It's called a quad rotation stochastic oscillator. Now, at the moment, it doesn't look quite how it's going to look probably by the time you see this video, because we're going to change some things in it. Now, at the moment, you can find it by going to quad rotation stochastic, and you'll see it in TradingView. It's by Save with Crypto, and it's got about 128 likes. I've got this version here in my personal scripts. It's not released yet, but it's pretty much how you're going to see it as of tomorrow, which will be Monday, June the 16th onwards. So let's just add that to the chart as well. Okay. So this is a momentum oscillator, and this gives you an idea of when the value of the asset is oversold or overbought. So you can see at the moment here on the 1 hour time frame, the stochastics are starting to come down into this very oversold territory, which means we might be looking at a reversal soon. But what you really want to see is what happened here, where you get the stochastic area coming below this line here, and you get some space there. Now the little bit of space is really quite important, and that is when you start to see things like this green background here and this green arrow, which is called a super up arrow. That is a very, very good sign that there's a reversal, and you can see here that that's exactly what happened there. It happened to a lesser extent just here, but nevertheless it still did go up about 0.5% anyway. So at the moment that's what I'm looking for another pullback like what we had here, and then hopefully that will signify some kind of double bottom like that. And then what I want to see is this green and yellow EMAs cross over a bit like they did here when we went up afterwards. You see when they cross the other way like there, that means you go down. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for at the moment. So it's not time to long just yet. It's too late to short in my mind, and I'm looking for this kind of crossover here, and I'm looking for this kind of oversold condition down here with the green background, the green arrow. If you're still looking at the old version of the quad rotation stochastic, these green elements here are the same as are the red ones. It's just the actual way the stochastic lines are presented themselves that's different. But I'll do another video about the quad rotation stochastic at a later date. And in fact, today I've got a call with Math, the coder, this afternoon, and we're going to talk about it and maybe make a video about it, and he can discuss the new styling and the new things he's done to the indicator. The indicator is 100% free, so go and get it. Actually, I also noticed with this CT Mac is that we've got all these values over here, which I don't really want to see, to be honest, so you can just remove them like that if you want to. This value is in the status line, that's up there. I mean, I've kind of removed that globally anyway, but you can always just uncheck that if you don't want that either. So that's looking a lot neater now, isn't it? Now, if you do get the old version of the quad rotation stochastic today, it will look a little bit different. But you can see the functionality is pretty much the same. It's just the way the stochastic lines are represented is a lot clearer in the new version. But as I say, if you don't get the new version today, it will be out either tomorrow or early in the week. So if you like the sound of that, please do give the video a big fat like. Make sure you are subscribed and you've got the notifications set on all. Any questions, leave them in the comments down below. And above all, tell your friends.
Save with Crypto has to be one of the best YouTube channels that the United States has ever seen. Kamala Harris is not a subscriber, but I am. I have notifications set to all as well. I'd strongly suggest you subscribe to Save with Crypto today. Above all, you should tell your friends.
Save with Crypto is not a financial advisor. He just makes ice cream on the internet. If you cannot find someone to do your own research, you must do it yourself, just like I did not.